back to the default setting. Yeah, Cody.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Do Bonsai. I'm Scott Winard. Today we're going to look at repotting the jade that's been suffering. We're going to just check to make sure it's in some decent soil. I've got a bit of a fear that some soil that we used not so long back, where the clay turned into a mush, may well be in some of this. Hopefully it won't be as in greater proportions as it has been in other plantings, but this has been cut back for quite a while now, and we're not really seeing anything improve on this tree. It may take a while to improve. I did have to cut it back down further to when we did the video last time. A lot of the upper branches just continued to go mushy all the way down, but what we've got now is nice and solid. We've ended up with just a stump down the bottom here. Hopefully we'll get some growth coming out of the stump, and it can, you know, grow up and achieve something going forward. There are some suckers around the bottom of the tree, so we'll be sure to separate those and maybe use them somewhere, maybe in a terrarium or something like that. But all you can see that we've got these little fellas that are, you know, hopefully going to bring a little bit of something back. I'm not sure whether that's a little bit of growth coming out of a point there, but if we get it into some nice bonsai soil, it will give it the hopefully the opportunity to carry on and hopefully do well. I do see some lower growth on the back trunks out here, but what we'll do is we'll pull it out of the pot and start raking away the soil, and we'll see, you know, how much this tree's joined together and maybe separate it up a bit, or, you know, we'll try and do something to make it look pretty again, because it's looking pretty dismal. Okay, so we'll try and lift it out of the pot. Oh, there it goes. We'll just put that pot to one side. So it is still, it's retained quite a bit of moisture. It is a little bit damp to the touch. I haven't watered this for quite a while, fortunately. So yeah, it has been retaining a lot of moisture. So if we just take a rake here and just start pulling away, we can see the top layer of stones that were put in, the dressing stones, and then the loose soil around the edge, so that's going to come away okay. But the soil is very hard, very compact, so it's going to be quite a bit of work to do something with this. It was slip potted a number of times, so maybe, you know, the amount of roots that are in here are maybe quite root bound. So although we don't really want to be doing too much root work, we may just end up doing a little bit more than what we're actually bargaining for. But yeah, it's very solid up the top here, but we'll just rake that out as best we can. It's very tight and compact, so the roots that are in here are very well established. So we just need to make sure that we can allow them to get some oxygen and breathe. It looks like this was just slip potted with additional potting soil mostly, so it will be good to get it into some bonsai soil, some nice free draining soil. And although these quite like the standard potting soil. They do like the bonsai soil as well, so it will hopefully enjoy it just as much in that as it will the soil that it's in at the moment. But we need to get it out so it can breathe. And so that it can continue to grow on. So it's very, like I say, it's very compact in here. There's lots of long roots coming out, so we're just going to have to be a little bit careful that we don't destroy too much of the roots, although the jades are very good at growing their roots back in. But given the state of this tree that we've got it in at the moment, we don't really want to be asking it to have to do too much work for itself. So yeah, it's very, very compact. We must have really, you know, crushed it into its soil, and then obviously where it was repotted a couple of times, it was literally just, it must have been just slip potted into bigger pots each time. So this is going to be some tough work, hard work, but it will be very beneficial work for the tree. Found a bit of a space in there that I can get the rake into and get some success with the root work. They've normally got nice shallow root bases, the jades, so we've normally got, you know, all the roots are up the top, but where it was in quite a deep pot, it's obviously taken time and set into that pot, and then the next pot, and then the next pot, to finally the one that we've just taken it out of. But yeah, there's a, it's going to be very happy that we're taking it out of this. I know I keep saying it, but it's very compact. It's very, you know, it's solid in here, where the soil's just been added to over time, and you know, that's our fault. Just keep constantly slip potting it. But we should be able to pull quite a bit away from the bottom. It should just drop straight. Again, the root bases of these are normally quite shallow, and there's plenty to come away. But all we can do is work with what we've got. There's some nice, I say nice, there's some big thicker roots here that are working their way through the thing, but they're very soft and brittle. They're breaking to the touch, so yeah, it's been a long time coming, this proper repot, and we're going to be a lot better for it. Yeah, some thick crossing roots. Thick roots going down. We're going to be damaging quite a few, but again, the jade is really good at putting down new roots, so it's not too much of a major problem. But you don't really want to be taking the strength out of the tree, especially after all what we took out at the top not so long ago. We'll just get into this root mass as best we can and rake it out as best we can. It's not too wet inside. It's damp, but it's not wet. There's some, I found some thick, I don't know whether it's a root or stick or something down the bottom here. So I'll just continue to work around and rake this out. So we've continued to do quite a bit of work on the roots, and as you can see from that tall pot that it was in, we've ended up more through agitation than anything with not a lot left in the root mass, the root ball. Obviously all of this is interconnected and connected to each other, so I did have a bit of an idea about separating this all down and maybe splitting this one off, which has got all the green on it, you know, and making that into a separate planting, which I may well do yet. During the excavation of this, I found some sort of copper rod that was driven through the middle of it, so we've got that out, so that can only be good. You can hear that is you know, a solid piece of metal sat in the middle of the root ball. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into it with a root hook just to get into these finer areas and just pull out some of the soil. So I've got a root hook here just to try and drag the soil out of the root ball. It's breaking roots off as we go, but we need to try and get into this as much as we can, and the rake wasn't quite doing it, so it is a case of the old fail-safe of the root hook coming into play. So we'll just work our way around the whole of the root mass, just trying to gently dig in without causing too much damage, but invariably we are going to. And then once we've done all of this, we should be able to give it a rinse and rinse out all the soil that we've agitated and get that out of the root ball. So we'll just flip it and just try and come in at the bottom without damaging things too much. Just poke and pull, just nice and gently. I might have to lose the backdrop for this because I'm just dragging the top parts of the tree against it when I'm working. The root ball's quite solid down the bottom, but we are penetrating quite well with the hook and pulling out lots of soil. Now that soil will have been in there for a long time, so you know, allowing it to come out and get some oxygen to those roots is going to be a good thing. The only problem is obviously we're damaging quite a lot of the root as we go along. We'll carry on. So we just go into the root mass and just tease as much as we can to loosen off this dark soil. It's all going to come away. It's all hitting hardwood at the bottom, so we are getting towards the end of most of this. There is quite a lot still in there, so just keep going away at it. We might have to cut quite a few of these downward facing. There's a large one there that's downward facing and quite a lot of downward facing, so we might just trim across that bottom just to give us our planting level. The roots have all broken off and gone anyway, so you know they are going to grow back, so we may as well have them growing back where we want them to grow back, as opposed to you know, growing back from further down in the root plane that we don't actually want. So now that we've ended up with what we've got, we can make some decisions about all these gnarly root bits that are in this root base. After a rinse of this, we should see nicely what we've got. There's loads of roots coming off around the bottoms of all of this, but I think most of this central part we will be cutting away. I did say that I didn't want to do too much, but while we're here and whilst we've damaged the roots as much as we have done at the moment, we may as well, you know, do as much as we can to prevent too much work the next time we're in the roots. So we'll just go and give these a rinse off, get some a good amount of soil out of these roots, and we should have something that we can work with. So we've got a lot more out of the root ball now, and we'll just do some final raking out of this bottom side, because there is still quite a bit to come out. And then we've got all this hard root mass at the bottom, and I think we will just try and cut back on as much of that as we can, just to give it a bit more of a flat base. So we're just looking at the bottom of our jade here, and there are a lot of roots that are coming straight down, and there's a big ball of root at the bottom. So I'm going to tidy that up as best as I can. If I take too much off, we'll end up needing to allow the roots to dry out, because we won't be able to repot it straight away. So we'll just go through. We've got, it's nice and good down there. We've just got this one that I'm just going to take off, and there's one there that we can just take away, and then around this side we can probably manipulate that around, but it's quite a large root, so we'll just take that off. We've got some others that will just go up and out the way. We've got a big one just in the middle there, and there's quite a big mat. It's going to end up being quite a bit of damage to the base of this, but I've done this sort of thing before and they dry out and they just carry on growing nicely, so you know, I'm not too worried about what I'm doing here. having done it before. I'll just so it's quite a knotted set of roots, and we can probably separate this one. It looks like it wants to. Just trying to, the bottom of that one is pretty much here and it's away from these. This large base seems to come from this main trunk here, and this seems to have come up as a sucker anyway. So I'm just going to gently, it came apart, so that's okay, but it did snap up. It came up off of the main trunk here. So we'll allow that to dry out, and we'll allow the bottom of that to dry out, and we'll repot this in a couple of days. And then this one, it's now got its own main trunk. This will heal over, and we've got what is the beginning of a kind of radial root base. There's a root here that comes round from a strange angle, which we'll just take that off. And then we probably just need to do a little bit of work inside here just to take out the old soil. There's a few roots that are just going straight down, so we'll just trim those back. Got one really long root there that we'll just trim the long ones back slightly. And then that leaves us with a start of a new one to grow. And obviously all the health is inside this one, so we'll plant this on, and then we'll make branch decisions as we go forward. So there we go with the jade work. We'll make this into a couple of parts. What I'm going to do now is store the two main plantings and just let the bottom dry out, because obviously it's got some open wounds on the root section. So we'll allow that to dry out, and along with that will allow the soil around the bottom to dry out. And I think what we're going to do is make up some new plantings. I'm not 100% sure yet on what we're going to do, but we've got this other one here that's got a trunk that had to be cut back, similar to that one. So we may put these two together to create a bit of a bush looking sort of setup, or we may put this one its own, but I'll have some time to think about that. So we'll leave these to dry out, and we'll come back in a couple of days to carry on the work with these. So for now, as always, I'm Scott Winard. This is Let's Do Bonsai, and from me and the poorly jades here, we'll see you again on the next one.